Okay, I got one more message in me, Giants. I did a message about my journey and my story this morning, but I have a message that I need to share regarding reparenting. And so, a good friend of mine sent me a book that I've been listening to. I think it's called "Warming the Stone Child." It's metaphors and stories about reparenting. And man, if you get a chance, pick it up. Beautiful book. I'm just getting into it, but it's already triggering ideas, and that's what I love about books is they just get my mind going, and I want to share my view on what they're talking about. But the idea that our childhood is our development phase. That's where we grow, and that's where we learn things. That's where we learn that the world is safe. Hopefully, we have parents that are supportive and loving, available. And if that were the case and it was an ideal situation, we'd turn out perfect and there wouldn't be any issues. The challenge is that most of us have had rough childhoods. My dad passed away when I was 2. He had leukemia. He passed away from leukemia. I didn't really get to know him. I stopped talking until I was 4 years old. And then when I did start talking, I didn't stop again. And so here I am today. My mom was mentally ill. And so she was unavailable. She was trying to work and provide for 11 kids. The older kids had moved out, so I think there were 8 under 8 when my dad passed away. They had a baby every year, kind of like what we'll see coming out of the coronavirus. So she was unavailable. My siblings helped raise me. And so, my development was a little rough. And I would imagine many of you have gone through similar things. I know that neglect and trauma cause similar outcomes in people. I know that a lot of mental illness that we face today stems from our childhood development. And what occurs is that people get so angry and upset that I didn't get the childhood I wanted. I didn't get the perfect parents. I didn't get the raising that I needed to be a good person today. And yeah, I could see that point of view. I could see you holding on to that argument of, I got ripped off in a sense. And the reality is that most of us did. About 90% of us probably did. The majority of people had a rough outcome. And so they didn't get that development and nurturing that they needed. I had a post that I did a while back. It just said parents or children of parents without any issues or something. I don't know. I'll find it. I'll post it again. But it was like 2 people in the room. That's about what it looks like. The odds are is that most of us had some type of childhood trauma, childhood neglect, abuse, sexual, physical, mental, emotional abuse that we went through. We didn't get the development that we needed. In fact, our parents probably didn't get the development that they needed. I could go back through my family line and look at my mom and her mental illness and trace that back to her dad, who was an alcoholic, who tried to kill her mom in front of her. She was sexually abused. So how do I fault her? It doesn't make the behavior okay, but do I go back and say this is all her fault because of this? So what I'm learning in this book that I'm listening to is that we have a chance to reparent ourselves. What we didn't get, we have within us. That mothering, that fathering, that parent that we need is within us to create. We're all adults. Some of us are children with big bodies, basically. We have grown-up bodies, but we're still children inside. And you see that around by the way that people behave. What I'm getting at is that inside of you is this ability to reparent yourself. So anything that you missed out on in your childhood, in your development, you can give yourself. And if you don't know how to do it, man, there's 2 ways to go about this. I used to joke and just say, you can go to the 2 G's, Google or God. It's up to you. For me, I'm a Google guy. I go to Google and I search things and I look at the research and what works and what doesn't work. And then I practice it and I find out if that's good for me or not. And so go in and do the research. I do think you need a connection with higher self, higher power, source, God, whatever you call it. I think that's needed because it brings hope and value to this world. Because without it, it can feel pretty hopeless. And so have that connection, whatever that looks like for you. You don't have to be religious or spiritual. You can be an atheist and believe in your higher power, your higher self. Believe in that. But also look at what's working. There's so many people sharing right now. We have access to so much information. It's crazy to me that there's ignorance right now. When we have access to so many things, we limit our focus to what we want to see, that we're missing out on what's available to us. So if you're missing out on some of that stuff you could have had during development, your brain still has the potential to grow that. So why wouldn't you go out and learn a new behavior? If you're anxious, highly anxious, go out and learn how to not be anxious, or how to manage it at least. If you're depressed, go out and learn the tools that will help you overcome depression. Stop waiting on somebody to come rescue you. I saw a quote that said, "No one is coming. No one is coming to rescue you." And it's not me, it's not anybody else. I might give you a message, but at the end of the day, it's you who has to rescue you. I've got a poem that I might share that I wrote about 10 years ago. It's called Bond and Free, and it talks about how we are our captors and our rescuers. We, individually, like we have the power within us to grow and to rescue our lives. And so, you know, the idea that we got ripped off in our childhood, I can get it. I can understand it. But the reality is that most of us did. And so now, knowing that, it's up to you to shift it. And my question would be, how are you going to do that? What are you going to do to go in and reparent yourself, to be the parent to yourself, because you have it in you? Man, I would love to hear your comments on this, your thoughts. Interact with each other. I love that. That's cool. You can do this as a watch party and share it with other people. And so that might be a possibility, and get into conversation around this. But man, so many of us have not, we didn't get what we needed. And so we got to create it ourselves. And so that's kind of the message of this video. Man, make it a giant day today, guys. Go out and create something giant in yourself, for yourself and for others. And man, there's a lot of opportunity right now for you to grow. So appreciate you being on the video. I'll see you on the next one.